Hey, what's up, everyone? Thank you for stopping in for this pilot episode. This is kind of a new thing that I'm trying to do and trying to get started. It's a new series called Veteran Talks. And what we do is we kind of interview veterans, talk about our service and the transition to civilian life and how things have affected us in the whole transition and the mentality and how we've adapted. So thank you for stopping by. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy this pilot episode with myself. So yeah, here we go. Hello, I'm Sergeant Knox, medically separated. I joined between 2002 while I was still in high school. I did a split up program. I joined the reserves first, and then I was medically separated out in 2010 while on active service. I ended up switching between reserve and active duty. My last duty station was Fort Riley, but I've been to Fort Sill and Fort Sam Houston. So I ended up joining for a multitude of reasons. The main one was after going to a house party and staying the night, I didn't let my parents know I was going, so no surprise there. But I woke up and kind of just surveyed everything around me and decided at that point college wasn't really going to be my strong suit. I saw how much of a partier I was going to be, and I thought to myself, I wasn't ready for college. So I decided to say fuck it and join the Army. I enlisted at the time was 75 Hotel, a personnel clerk, and then was eventually reclassified to a 42 Alpha. Which is a pretty much S1 admin personnel clerk. Pretty much I did promotions, awards, personnel files, finance, processed the JAG paperwork, slotting, NCOERs, awards. Yeah, just did all of it. While on deployment, my unit at the time figured out that I was very good with computers, and so I got tagged as the fill-in slot for a 25 Bravo, which I fixed computers while on deployment, and then while on active service, I started my OJT training to try and get the MOS awarded, and was eventually going to try and become a warrant officer until the med board got me. So for me, when I first joined, I was thinking get in, get out, do 8 years, call it a day. It wasn't until I switched to active duty that I figured I wanted to be a careerist. And while on active duty, you can definitely tell the people who, at least in my opinion, joined for the short term. They wanted to join for college, they wanted to get away from family. I ran into a couple who are court ordered, but not many people after being in for a while, that most people didn't want to stay in. So it was quite interesting to see the difference. And I don't know if it's just I was raised around the military, or what, but for me it was just an easy transition to do it as a career at the time, until the doctors got a hold of me. What do I miss the most? I miss the camaraderie. In the civilian world, you don't definitely see it that often. Where I work, people don't get together after work. You don't really meet that much of families. Yeah, you don't get to know each other that well. It's a different mentality altogether. In the Army, it's one of those, you really get to know the family, the people, the person, and you always have each other's back, no matter what. You don't really see that in the civilian sector all that often. So the one thing I'm glad I've never had to deal with again is 6:30 PT. At least at Fort Riley, it was about an hour drive in to post every morning. So I would have to leave the apartment I was at by like 5 o'clock in the morning. So you had to be up and ready to go and out the door, and get the gate in time so you can get through traffic. And I don't miss the traffic. And even after my divorce and living on post, you still had to wake up early and get there. You had to be 15 minutes early to the 15 minutes early to that 15 minutes early. So usually I was one of the first ones to show up anyways, but I don't miss those really early wake up calls, but I do sometimes miss the PT. Transitioning to the civilian lifestyle for me was hard. I hit a dark point in my life, a very dark point. Being med boarded, I was forced to end my career choices, and then transition out. So I kind of lost my identity there for a while. And within a week of starting my terminal leave, the apartment I had just moved into, just like a couple weeks earlier than that, with the girl I was with at the time, the creek flooded, and so going through, you know, a natural disaster, transitioning, and then a failing relationship at the time, I hit a dark spot. So transitioning for me was just the lowest of the lows I've ever been. Yeah, it's something I would never wish on the most hated person I could think of. You shouldn't have to go through that much pain and suffering all within like just a matter of weeks. And it took a blow. It took 4 years roughly for me to really start repairing myself and really advance in my life. So dealing with coworkers who have never served has been quite interesting. A lot of people have family who have served, or serving. Then you get the typical onesie twosies. Hey, I would join, but and you see that quite often everywhere. So it's entertaining to a point, but also just annoying. But a lot of people, for the most part, once you tell them, everyone has their questions. You know, what'd you do? Did you see action? Did you do this? Did you do that? Once you get past a lot of the questions, people can be pretty supportive. But it's just a lot more people who are curious on what happened, and how it's affected you. And for a lot of organizations, they still look for what you can bring to the organization. I definitely have had my fill of a couple swinging jobs since then, and it's interesting. You still get people who don't understand the nightmares that you might get, uh, the having a hard time really translating, because with soldiers, you definitely you lose touch of your feelings, and some people forget about that, and it takes a lot. Even though I did counseling for a few years, people tend to forget some information. So some of the positive effects that I can definitely see is I'm usually always trying to make myself reliable, trying to make myself available for definitely in the job sector. I try and make my friends know that I'm always there. The ones I've kept in touch with. You always have those good friends, whether it's in the service or out of the service, and you always want to make sure that you stay in touch. I'd say you definitely stay a lot more in touch with fellow service members a lot more, or their families, because they understand very well, especially once they know your quirks, because everyone's got a little bit of quirks, and in service, it can be interesting. But some of the negative impacts, at least for male soldiers, it's you don't have you don't have feelings. You got to keep everything suppressed. You got to keep. You're not allowed to hurt. You're not allowed to feel. You're not allowed to any of that. And learning to bring some of that stuff out takes a lot of learning. I'm still learning, even after doing counseling. It's hard learning to express those things, and I doubt I'll ever master it personally. Definitely still have a lot to learn. Yeah. Since I'm the test pilot, I don't have much else. I mean, I did a bit of everything. Even though I was a 42, I was definitely one of the guys in my last unit. A lot of guys will definitely vouch for me on the fact that I was the crazy one in the S1 shop who would be the first one out the door if anyone said we needed a person for a field problem or a test dummy or combatives contender. I was definitely one to step up. Some of that's carried over. I definitely got through a drinking phase and weird, wild adventures, but now, I mean, this is just one of my many projects that I have. So I hope that you like this pilot episode, and hopefully, if you're interested, definitely feel free to reach out. I'll take anyone who's in the Denver area or in Colorado in general. If you're willing to make your way to Denver, definitely reach out to our Facebook page, Adventures Media. Reach out to us on Twitter. I know personally I do a charity support every year. StackUp.org is who I'm currently supporting. I supported them last year. I'll support them again this year. You can check me out on Twitch, Mixer, everything. Derfael, DERFAEL. You can also find me on Twitter as my personal handle if you need to reach out to me. But I definitely would like to expand this. So veterans, if you would like to talk, answer some of these similar questions, help us expand even more in interviews, I would definitely be interested in having you on. So thank you for joining me. Leave a comment, like, dislike, yeah, thanks.